In the quiet suburbs of Willow Springs, Olivia's life had once resembled the final, blissful chapters of a romance novel. With a loving husband, Matthew, and their radiant, curious young daughter, Ella, she felt secure. They'd built a life together, woven with small, shared rituals and laughter. Even her relationship with Rachel, her mother-in-law, felt like a blessing. Rachel had become a second mother to her, and they shared mutual respect and admiration. But on a bitter night, a sudden phone call shattered this sense of stability forever. A driver lost control on a fogged-over highway, and in the chaos that followed, Matthew and his father were gone. The days that followed were blurred and gray, like a world drained of color. Olivia felt adrift, her once stable life reduced to a series of strained motions. When her emotions became too heavy to bear, she would look at Ella, who was too young to fully understand. Rachel, despite her own grief, came nearly every day, silently helping to hold Olivia's life together in the ways she could. The older woman's presence became a balm, a reminder that Olivia wasn't facing this alone. Their shared sorrow created a bond even deeper than before, unspoken but unbreakable. Even so, Olivia knew that grief wasn't the only burden she carried. With the bills mounting and her savings draining quickly, she couldn't ignore reality. She had a daughter to provide for, and they couldn't rely on Rachel's support alone. Every step forward felt like moving through quicksand, yet she knew she had no choice but to keep going. One late autumn afternoon, Olivia stood at the entrance of the massage parlor, her heart pounding. She never thought she would end up here, but desperation has a way of blurring boundaries. The parlor, known for its special services, wasn't somewhere she'd have ever considered under different circumstances. But with no other options, she'd accepted the position. From her first day, she adopted the alias Ava, a name that allowed her to hide her true self behind a mask. The work itself was manageable, but Olivia quickly realized that she would need to detach herself emotionally to survive. She learned how to touch without feeling, how to remain emotionally numb while her hands worked automatically, soothing the muscles of strangers who saw her only as a service. It became a practiced, almost robotic routine, until she began to feel a hollow ache inside herself, a sense that she was losing more of herself with each passing day. Each night, Olivia returned home feeling fragmented. She kept her secrets tightly hidden, carefully maintaining a facade for Rachel and Ella. But Rachel began noticing the shadows under Olivia's eyes, the lingering tension in her shoulders. She started visiting more often, bringing homemade meals and tending to the house, sensing that Olivia's struggles extended far beyond grief. It was a regular Tuesday evening at the parlor when Olivia's stomach dropped. Her next client's name flashed across her screen, and it felt like a cruel twist of fate. Rachel. The shock was immediate, her mind racing as she stared at the name, unable to believe it. A cold sweat broke over her, and her heart pounded. Her first instinct was to switch with someone else, but her request was denied. Now, she had no choice. Disguised as Eva, she would have to face her mother-in-law in this dimly lit room where secrets hid in every corner. When Rachel entered, she gave a polite, slightly nervous smile, unaware of who was behind the mask of her masseuse. As Olivia's hands began working over Rachel's shoulders, a storm of emotions churned inside her. She could feel Rachel relaxing beneath her hands, her quiet sighs signaling comfort. For Olivia, though, it was anything but comforting. Her touch, once detached, now carried a weight that pressed deep into her soul, and she struggled to maintain her composure. She felt a strange intimacy with Rachel, one that had nothing to do with family. When the session ended, Rachel thanked her with a gentle, contented smile, and Olivia barely managed a nod, her heart still racing as she watched her mother-in-law leave. Rachel returned the following week, specifically requesting Eva. Each session felt like an invisible thread binding them closer, and despite her resolve, Olivia found herself anticipating Rachel's visits. She began noticing the smallest details, the subtle curve of Rachel's neck, the way her shoulders relaxed under Olivia's touch, the soft hums of contentment that escaped Rachel's lips. The familiarity became dangerous, a feeling Olivia couldn't ignore yet didn't understand. It was something deeper, something she had never felt for anyone but Matthew. Outside the parlor, Olivia started seeing Rachel in a different light. The woman who had been a mother figure transformed in Olivia's mind, no longer just her late husband's mother. Olivia began to yearn for Rachel's presence, their conversations carrying a tenderness that neither fully recognized yet. She felt drawn to her in ways that scared her, ways she didn't want to examine too closely. Rachel, on the other hand, sensed Olivia's growing distance but said nothing, choosing instead to remain a comforting presence, her patience limitless. One quiet evening, after Ella had drifted to sleep, Olivia sat alone in the kitchen, her thoughts a tangled web. She felt Rachel's presence before she even entered the room, the familiar scent of lavender drifting in the air as Rachel placed a gentle hand on Olivia's shoulder. "Are you all right?" Rachel's voice was low, filled with genuine concern. Her hand lingered, her fingers tracing delicate circles over Olivia's tense muscles. Olivia looked up, meeting Rachel's warm, probing gaze, and in that moment, something broke open inside her. Unable to hold back any longer, she leaned forward, her lips meeting Rachel's in a soft, trembling kiss. It was hesitant at first, a question asked without words. But as Rachel responded, their kisses grew deeper, hungrier, each one carrying the weight of unspoken emotions that had built between them. They broke apart, both breathing heavily, eyes searching. Rachel reached out, brushing a lock of Olivia's hair behind her ear, her fingers grazing Olivia's cheek. She looked at her daughter-in-law with a tenderness and intensity that neither had anticipated. Rachel's eyes were wide with shock, yet a deep, undeniable warmth filled them. "Olivia." Rachel's voice was barely a whisper, laden with confusion and desire. The air between them grew heavy with unspoken words. But as they stood close, Rachel's expression shifted, her eyes widening as she caught a familiar scent. The massage oil Olivia had used earlier clung faintly to her skin, and the realization hit Rachel like a wave. "You're Eva," she murmured, her voice filled with astonishment. Olivia nodded, a mixture of guilt and relief flooding her. She saw the shock in Rachel's face, but also a flicker of understanding. The intimacy of their shared moments, the sessions where Rachel had unknowingly grown comfortable under Olivia's hands, now transformed into something electric, something forbidden. They both knew they were crossing boundaries they could never uncross. But in that moment, neither could stop themselves. Rachel reached out, her fingers brushing Olivia's lips before drawing her into another kiss, this one filled with years of emotions that had never found a voice. Every touch was laced with the tenderness and longing that defied the years and the unspoken rules they had once lived by. They moved with a new urgency, their breaths mingling, bodies trembling with the intensity of emotions long buried. Their relationship shifted irrevocably after that night. In the days that followed, they discovered new ways to connect, their love deepening with every shared touch and whispered confession. Olivia cherished the feel of Rachel's hands tracing the lines of her body, her every touch a reminder of the love and passion they had both discovered in each other. They held each other close, finding solace in their hidden, quiet moments. They often spent evenings curled up together, their touches soft yet intense, each one imbued with a vulnerability that was both terrifying and beautiful. Rachel would caress Olivia's face, her fingers memorizing each curve as if grounding herself in this newfound love. In return, Olivia would press gentle kisses along Rachel's collarbone, her lips leaving trails of warmth as they explored the landscape of this woman she had once only seen as family. Their love was tender, laced with the weight of unspoken vows and promises. They knew their bond was a secret, a quiet rebellion against the world's expectations, yet they couldn't deny the peace and fulfillment they found in each other. Together, they stood on the precipice of an uncertain future, yet their bond only grew stronger with each passing day. In Rachel's embrace, Olivia found not just solace, but strength, a reminder that she was loved and valued for who she truly was. And for Rachel, Olivia became her anchor, a beacon of hope and passion that she hadn't thought possible at her age. The world outside would never understand their connection, and both women knew the challenges they would face. but they shared a trust that had been built from shared sorrow and hard-won happiness. As they faced the future, they clung to each other, knowing that no matter what lay ahead, they would find strength in the love they had fought to preserve. Their love was a quiet but fierce promise, a testament to their resilience and the transformative power of true connection.